big takeaway from the weekend? God, it's summer, baby. Let's go. That's number one. Number
Is it officially summer?
Well, I mean, I think Memorial Day is essentially the opening of summer, although some, I don't know, would say that it's when kids get out of school. So depending on when your kids get out of school, that's when it starts. No, it was a great sports weekend. And that game I guess you want to start there with the NBA Finals?
We can start wherever you want to start.
Well, no, watching that game last night, the Miami Heat are so unique. They're so different, right? So you've got a coach who we all believe's kind of like an old school. He's got the combination of X's and O's with gut, with kind of ruling with an iron fist, but at the same time, it feels like, he'll pull any trigger at any given time. I'm talking about Eric Spoelstra here. And then I look at their team, and it's really like one dude that everybody respects as a playoff performer who kind of elevates himself from regular season to playoffs. And then it's a bunch of randos, right? And not that Bam Adebayo's some random, he's on a max contract, but he's not somebody that people would point at and go top 20 player in the NBA. He doesn't stick out like that. He's very, very good. I get weird, and this is a cross-sport analogy, I get that 2014 San Francisco Giants vibe from the Miami Heat. In just the sense of they're so random, and yet when they get into the playoffs, keep doubting them. Keep doubting them. Oh, yeah, this team's going to beat them. That team's going to beat them. And yet here they are, and they win a huge game. They go to the zone, and they just take away the passing lanes from Jokic, and it feel like they kind of suffocated that offense. I don't know, man. Maybe I just slept on the Miami Heat in this series after one game. I jumped to one other end of the room thinking, it'll be a 5-game series. I don't know. Maybe I wrote them off too quickly.
Well, I don't know how the series is going to play out, but we do have a series with the Heat. Winning the game in Denver. It was the first home loss for Denver in these playoffs. Jokic was special, no doubt, but all of a sudden, Jamal Murray got shellacked. I love Jimmy Butler taking on that challenge to guard Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
And then Michael Porter Jr., you got to get something from him. He got shook up yesterday, and the Heat forced him into some bad shots. He did not play any defense. He had a lot of miscommunication on the pick-and-roll defense. You saw it early in the game. You saw it late in the game. And then Mike Malone with the Bruce Brown, which he may have to do a lot more in this series. So we'll see, man. We'll see about Miami. I thought Bam Adebayo's had a good run. He's doing all he can against Jokic, but offensively, he's making shots. He's making them pay. You got the guys to make some open threes. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, doing a great job there. So we got a series in the NBA Finals. We got a real fun series coming up.
You know what I really loved about watching Miami? And it's sometimes you see teams, they go to the zone and they do it to protect 3 guys on the court or whatever, right? Now, Miami has personnel that cannot play defense. Duncan Robinson's not a defender, right? They've got guys. But when you have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in a zone, you're talking about 2 elite defenders when they want to be, 2 elite defenders. I found it very interesting. And then they were allowing Jokic to go up against anyone. So depending on, you've seen when the Warriors run a zone, Bonte, it'll be Draymond will pass off Jokic to another big, or he'll stay with him, but everyone else is in a zone, so it's almost like a box-and-1. Yesterday, you saw Caleb Martin, Kevin Love. There was a time where they had freaking Lowry on Jokic for a couple of possessions. Just the defensive sophistication and the ability for that team to suffocate you with that zone. They did it against the Warriors. I don't know if you remember that game when the Warriors went up against the Miami Heat. They went zone against them and kind of stifled the Warriors.
Well, the Heat love to extend their zone as well. They don't just run it in the half court. They'll pick it up at half court. They'll pick it up past half court to the opposite end of the floor, and they'll extend that 1-3-1 zone, and it's really impressive. Boston could do nothing. NBA teams that can't penetrate its own defense, I never thought I saw today. It'd be like a team running a wishbone in the NFL. It's that's not working. You're not going to run the option. You're not going to run this stuff. And now you see little elements of the RPO, some of the option game in the NFL. Zone defenses, I love the implementation of zone defenses. What was that, 15, 20 years ago maybe? But teams really didn't buy into it. It didn't seem like teams bought into it until Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors started getting goofy with it against the Golden State Warriors with their 3-2 zone, their triangle and 2, their box and 1 or whatnot. So I like the zone defense, and they took away the assist of Nikola Jokic. Just make him a score, and shut everybody else down, which is smart. You got to live with something. You're not going to shut them down.
No.
But if you can slow them down in one area, and it's the same thing the Warriors did last year in the playoffs. Exactly. It's something they did last year in the regular season, or whenever they played Nikola Jokic. They take away his passing because that's when he's most devastating, getting everybody involved with backdoor cuts, pick-and-roll game, wide-open threes or whatnot. So credit to Miami, man. That's a tough win in Denver. So I can't wait for game 3.
Well, and then like wild oscillations within that game, back and forth. Like one team's got an 11-point lead, the other team fights back, and then a lead in the other direction. I thought that was a fun game. For all the people saying this is going to be a boring finals or whatever, now it's one game. But that was a one game. I thought that was a fun game to watch as someone who has no, kind of weight on the game.
I mean, it was intense from the start. I loved the energy in the first quarter with Miami coming out and being physical, taking a 10-2 run. The crowd was into it. It was a lot of physical basketball, pure, honest basketball. Not much flopping in this game.
But
you got
Kyle
some
Lowry.
people. Well, Kyle Lowry's going to do what Kyle Lowry's going to do what Kyle Lowry does.
I'm triggered by Kyle Lowry.
But you know what, though, man? For the most part, we all anticipated this. I think if you're a real basketball fan, I was looking forward to this series because of the coaching matchup, the schemes of Eric Spoelstra, the schemes of Mike Malone, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray in their pick-and-roll game. Basically, John Stockton and Karl Malone 2.0, in my opinion. I mean, they're devastating in that pick-and-roll game. But then you got the scrappy Miami Heat, who are not your ordinary 8 seed. They're not. They're just not. And they got some guys who are just hard-nosed, blue-collar, and they're going to fight you to the death, the Pat Riley type of team, with that mindset. So I'm enjoying the series. I anticipate, Game 1, maybe a little overreaction, thinking, boy, Miami's going to have to play close to perfect to win a game. I still think they're going to have to play close to perfect to win a game. But now all of a sudden, I'm looking at it from a different side saying, what if Michael Porter Jr. does go MIA in this series?
Do you like him as a player? I see the upside.
Yeah,
to me, he's so inconsistent.
I don't know yet. I feel bad for him because I don't think we're able to see the real Michael Porter Jr. What do you mean by that? Because of the back injuries.
Yeah,
this guy, from all the scouting departments, all the people, Mully would talk about him. Mully, when he was coaching the St. John's, was scouting. And I remember he was scouting Trae Young. It was a game with Trae Young. It was a game with Cole Anthony Jr., Michael Porter Jr.
This is when they were in high school.
This is in high school.
Okay.
And Mully was telling me, he was like, this guy was baby KD.
Wow.
This guy was unbelievable, Michael Porter Jr. Remember, he was highly touted coming out of high school. He goes to Missouri. But his back injury, I think, really has compromised his game. And now he plays like a guard. He's 6'11".
I know.
But he stands on the three-point line.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're able to see the real Michael Porter Jr. So I kind of feel bad for him. So when I see him play, I'm just like, he's just another 3 guy who doesn't play any defense.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
He was playing defense.
He was playing defense,
but not
Miami
in this game.
picked on him.
Yes.
Miami picked on him,
yes.
man. He blew a lot of assignments yesterday.
Fouling late.
When I pay him at $33 million a year,
well, that's a whole nother conversation. As we talk about Jordan Poole getting overpaid, I look at someone like Michael Porter Jr. and I'm like, it's a lot to pay for him. But I do look at like what he brings to that team. I can see like Patrick Baldwin Jr. I could see where he could see a role similar to Michael Porter Jr., where their games can be kind of comparative. You're hoping that you can get more defense and maybe more passing out of someone like Patrick Baldwin Jr. Am I making too far of a leap?
No, I don't think so.
Because when I look at someone like him, would you say he's their 4th option or their 3rd?
He's their 4th.
Because on any given night, I feel like him and Gordon can kind of flip-flop.
Yeah, well, him, KCP, or
KCP
Gordon,
too,
or Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens in this series, man. He blew a lot of assignments. I think Miami's feeling good, going back to the 3-0-5. Now, it would have been interesting if we still had the old finals format, 2-3-2.
The 2-3-2.
Now
I kind of like that format for traveling and everything, yeah.
I like the 2-2-1-1 because it's fair. Like a team, all of a sudden, you imagine if you're Miami, you get 3 straight home games.
Well, so I was listening to the Miami, I listened to Le Batard, and they're talking about when they played the Dallas Mavericks in 2006, it was the old 2-3-2 format.
Yep.
And so they went down 2-0.
Right.
And Dwayne Wade had very few free throw attempts. And then Donaghy was refereeing that particular series. And Dwayne Wade had 24 and 25 free throws in back-to-back games. So by the time you get to that game 6, they had built this momentum of the 3 games at home. And so it actually helped the away team because of the 3 games in a row. It was very interesting to hear that.
You know why they went to the 2-3-2, right?
Was for travel?
Yeah, for Boston and the Lakers. They kept going to the finals, and they were like, we don't want these back-to-back flights going back from L.A. to Boston because that's a long flight.
It's a really long
they went to 2-3-2, but now I like the 2-2, especially in today's world where you got charter jets, charter flights, first class. You can go 2-2-1-1-1. I think that's more fair. got about 5 minutes or 8 minutes before the first break.